Hey guys, how you doing? Right here again. If you'd like to subscribe, it's Nitro Kyo Show. Well guys, I'm on my third motor now with this helicopter. I started with the Scorpion 4020 1100 kV, and I wasn't getting the performance that I needed out of this. So I ended up selling that motor after only a few flights, and I went with the Scorpion 4020 1350 kV motor, the H3 model that most of the guys were using, and I was experiencing a lot of issues with that. We had the Talon 90 on here, which was recommended by Sab, and they basically were saying after we all bought this setup that it was not compatible. 90 amp motor that was underrated, actually putting more than that out, going into a 90 amp speed control didn't work. Normally you want it to be a third to a quarter higher, these speed controller, to be able to handle more of what the motor's putting. But we just naturally, we all read the manual, we all went by what they were telling us, and we did it. So anyways, that's done. And I was getting problems with the Talon 90, kept getting a beeping sound. Well, the Talon 90 had no data logging, so you were basically guessing what was going wrong with it. So Castle advised to get rid of the 90 and upgrade to something bigger. So we put the Castle 130 on here, and went out, was having the same issues. Now we had the data logging so we could check what was going on. It wasn't the temperature. There was no temperature issues at all. It was the current, alright? Overcurrent is what it's called on the log. And it said this motor was drawing 191 amps out of the speed control. And that's what was setting off that beeping sound. It was never a temperature issue, is what we originally thought. So I called Castle back. Castle says that there's a problem with the Scorpion motor. Send it in, have it checked out. So I called Scorpion, and they're very nice people over there at Innovative Designs, California. And he said, well, is the motor getting extreme temperatures? And I says, well, we were flying on Sunday, and where I'm at, it was over 90 degrees. We were drenched with sweat. It was about 100% humidity, and the motor came down, and the hottest point of the motor, the inner core, was only at about 163. And he said, well, it has a rise temperature. Whatever the temperature is outside, it can rise 100 degrees hotter. That motor could have been 190 to 200 degrees, but it wasn't. So he says, I don't think there's anything wrong with the motor. But if you want it looked at, we have to send it to Hong Kong, which is a 2-month round trip. So that means that's the end of this helicopter for the rest of the summer. Castle said if I leave the motor in there, it's going to blow the speed control up eventually. So my options were to be without a helicopter for 2 months, upgrade to another Castle speed control that there's no guarantees would work any better than these two did after spending $300 on speed controls. So my buddy said, why don't you get rid of that motor and put the motor I'm running. My friend has this helicopter with the Quantum 4120 1200 kV motor. He hasn't had any issues. He's running it with the Talon 90, and he's loving life. And from what I can see, this motor, when he demonstrates, puts out loads of torque and loads of power. So he said, you know what, Ray, do yourself a favor and take the other motor off, and either if you want to send it in, but nobody seems to think there's anything the matter with the motor. It doesn't have any odor to it, never got hot, doesn't smell, and it was nasty power it put out. We also changed pinions. We lowered pinions to see if that would help. But basically, I wanted to run a 100% throttle curve on this thing, and I couldn't. And The only way to get rid of that beeping was either to fly it in a normal flight, which I don't do anymore, or reduce it down to like 75–80% of a flat curve, and then it wouldn't beep. At least it didn't the one time we tested it. So, but I want to run what throttle curve I want. I mean, if I want 85 across the board, you should be able to do it. And if you want 100 across the board, you should be able to do it. So my friend tells me I'm not going to have any issues with this motor, and he said should have went with it from the start. I wish I talked to my friend from the start and listened to him, and I could have saved myself a lot of aggravation and a lot of time and a lot of headache and a lot of money, and just been enjoying this thing. Everybody out there is waiting for me to do a nice video flying this thing and everything, and I really, every time we go out there, guys, you know, when you're getting warnings and beepings and all that, you know, it's better to ground it before you have an accident. So we're going to do some good flying this weekend, I hope, and without any, hopefully without any Castle Creations beeping telling us something's wrong. And I've seen this motor in action. I liked what it did, so I went with it. Like I said, it's the Quantum 4120 1200 kV motor, and it also, it says it is the Goblin edition, so it was made for this. So hopefully, guys, we can get a nice video out for you, and hopefully this is the end of my my troubles. And if you'd like to subscribe, it's Nitro Kyosho, and hope I can get a good video out this weekend for you. Thanks for watching, and I will let you know how that motor turned out.